All right, hello everyone, and welcome to another Tuesday evening. And let's get smashing with our excerpts from selected texts. Now, today we're always, as you know, we're doing more morning lesson materials, and we're going to carry on with where we stopped off last week. And the topic is still everything is obtained by the power of prayer. And we'll do this week as well. And next week we'll go into something else, depending on what we're doing in the morning. And if you got any questions, as usual, just shoot them through, and we'll see if we can all decipher the texts and come to an answer together. All right, so we'll carry on. Excerpt number 17. This is from Rav Asher's letter number 65. A person must decide that he wants the Creator to give him a desire to completely annul before him. Meaning, not leave any desire under his own authority, but that all the desires in him will be only to give glory to the Creator. Once he decides on complete annulment, he asks the Creator to help him execute it. This means that although in the mind and the desire he sees that the body disagrees with him, annulling all his desires before the Creator, instead of for his own sake, he should pray to the Creator to help him want to annul before him with all the desires, leaving no desire for himself. This is called a complete prayer, meaning that he wishes that the Creator will give him a complete desire without any compromises to himself. And he asks of the Creator to help him always be with his righteousness. All right, let's read this again. Not an easy one, but I think we get the general drift. A person must decide that he wants the Creator to give him a desire to completely annul before him, meaning not leave any desire under his own authority, but that all the desires in him will be only to give glory to the Creator. So what we want to annul is the desire to receive for ourselves, right? We're annulling the intention to receive for ourselves. We can never annul the desire itself because we're a desire to receive. So we all understand that, because if we annul ourselves as a desire to receive, we won't exist. So the annulment is over the intention to receive for myself. All right, so what we want to do here is that a person wants the Creator to give him a desire to completely annul before him, meaning that I don't want to use any of the desires that I have for my own sake. That is not to leave any desire under his own authority, but that all the desires in him will be only to give glory to the Creator, which means to bestow back to the Creator. Obviously, the Creator doesn't need the glory. This is from a person's point of view. Once he decides on complete annulment, meaning that I don't want to use any of my desires for myself, he asks the Creator to help him execute it, because a person cannot annul his desires. This means that although in the mind and the desire he sees that the body disagrees with him, in annulling all his desires before the Creator, instead for his own sake, he should pray to the Creator to help him want to annul before him with all the desires, leaving no desire for himself, right? So even wanting to annul the desire is a big problem. I mean, which one of us wants to annul our own desire? Nobody, right? Everybody wants to get what they want to get. So annulling a desire is very, very difficult because it's completely against our nature. So a person needs extra help along the way to annul oneself. And that's why he needs to turn to the Creator, because he needs to do something which is completely against his desire, his nature. This is called a complete prayer. Why is it a complete prayer? Because he doesn't want anything for himself, meaning that he wishes that the Creator will give him a complete desire without any compromise to himself, and he asks of the Creator to help him always be with his righteousness. So what does it mean to be always with his righteousness? That the person does not want to use his desires ever for himself, right? Always wanting to bestow back to the Creator. That's all. All right, if there are any questions, you guys just shoot them through. In the meantime, let's go to number 18. Ba'al Salam from Shamati, article number 5. One must know when exerting to attain the Lishma, to take upon himself to want to work entirely to bestow, completely, meaning only to bestow and not to receive anything. Only then does one begin to see that the organs do not agree to this view. From this, one can come to clear awareness that he has no other choice but to pour out his heart to the Creator to help him, so the body will agree to enslave itself to the Creator unconditionally, as he sees that he cannot persuade his body to annul himself completely. It turns out that precisely when one sees that there is no hope that his body will agree to work for the Creator by itself, one's prayer can be from the bottom of the heart, and then his prayer is accepted. All right. So here's a nice little tip that we can use along the way. One must know when exerting to obtain lishma, right? Lishma being to bestow completely without any self-benefit, to take upon himself to want to work entirely to bestow completely, meaning only to bestow and not to receive anything. Okay, so not to receive anything is going to be a bit of a challenge if we're created as a desire to receive, right? So only then does one begin to see that the organs do not agree to this view. So the more we try to bestow, the more we make effort in order to bestow. Kurt, can you turn your microphone off? Only then does one begin to see that the organs do not agree to this view. All right, so the more we try to bestow, the more the body is just against it, just doesn't want it. And this is something we need to see, right? If we don't see this situation, then there's nothing to pray about, okay? So a person's effort is really important because according to the effort, we actually begin to see what's going on, with our nature, that is. From this, one can come to clear awareness that he has no other choice but to pour out his heart to the Creator, to help him so the body will agree to enslave itself to the Creator unconditionally. Now, here's a little detail. So we try to bestow, and we understand the body does not want to bestow, so we don't want to bestow. This is what we come to see. But why should it bother us? Well, we try to bestow, and okay, so we can't do it. What's the big deal, right? So why don't we just put it aside? Well, obviously we can't because we've got the dot in the heart, right? So on the one hand, we feel that we need to bestow. All right, this is why the situation is a little tricky, because on the one hand, we're a desire to receive pleasure for ourselves. On the other hand, because we've got the dot in the heart and we're growing it with the study, we have this urge to bestow as well. So we're left in a dilemma, right? So this is the dilemma. On the one hand, I want to come to bestow. On the other hand, I see my nature doesn't allow me to come to bestow. And this has to come to such an opposition that what I have to feel is that despite my ego, I want to bestow, I can't, and I need help. All right, so bestowal needs to be like one tick stronger than the reception, right? Otherwise, we won't turn to the Creator. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so the work that we do, right, the more effort we do, the more exertion we have, what are we doing? We're attracting the light. So the light that surrounds us. So the light of the Creator is kind of building the importance of bestowal in us as we work spiritually. So it has to come to a point at one level, at one level, it needs to be stronger than the desire to receive so that I can actually want this to happen from the Creator. What do I have to see for that? As I work and advance in spirituality, I have to see that my desire to receive is also, on the other hand, causing me grief, right? So on the one hand, I see the desire to receive is causing me problems in life, all the bad things I'm getting because of my desire to receive. The second thing is the dot in the heart is growing, so it wants to get closer to bestowal. So these 2 points make things a little easy on us. Right? So we understand egoism is bad. On the other hand, we understand bestowal is kind of better. And this is what allows us to turn to the Creator to say, listen, give us a hand. Otherwise, we wouldn't. All right? Because we're a desire to receive pleasure, what we have to do is we have to see some benefit to get closer to something, or we have to see something evil so that we can depart from it. Right, so we can say, we don't want to be close to that. And this is how you can only come. This is the only way you can come to a prayer where you see the evil on one side and you begin to appreciate the benefit of bestowal on the other hand, and the incapacity to attain bestowal will give us the strength to turn to the Creator. So the tension between these 2 points need to be at an extreme, right? It's like pulling an elastic band, right? You pull, just to the level that it doesn't snap, okay? Because otherwise the person will break, right? We don't want to break the person. The Creator doesn't want to break the person. The Creator wants to really stretch him out and cause this level of stress where it can come to a proper, wholehearted prayer. It turns out that precisely when one sees that there is no hope that his body will agree to work for the Creator by itself, one's prayer can be from the bottom of the heart, and then his prayer is accepted. So to come to a true prayer, we have to come to see the truth. All right, so that's what we need to do. And if we can all work towards bestowal, we'll see how our body is against that. And between working for bestowal and the rejection of our body for bestowal, that'll bring us closer to a heartfelt prayer. So all of these things, we need to go internally as well. We need to go through these states. So we can't just actually read the books and try to get to a prayer. So it needs to be applied amongst the friends. This is why we need to try to bestow to each other. We need to try to build some kind of a love, unity environment among us. And everybody, wants to bestow to that environment. However, we see that we're rejected because we don't want to really bestow according to our nature. And these two things, plus we're attracting the light all the time. It's like we're cooking in a pot. All right, so the environment's like a cooking pot and we're the stew. And we're going to slowly cook until it becomes ready, ready and ripe, as they say. Okay, if there are any questions, you guys let me know. Until then, we're moving on to number 19. This is a bit of a long one. All right, let's see. A person wanting to work entirely in the form of bestowal, and that all of one's thoughts of his own pleasure will be revoked, then when he feels what he's saying, his heart can fear that his prayer might be accepted, meaning that he will have no desire whatsoever for himself. And concerning self-pleasure, there appears a state where it seems as though he leaves all the pleasures of this world, together with all the people, friends, his kin, all his possessions, and retires to the desert where there's nothing but wild beasts, without anyone knowing of him or of his existence. It seems to him as though he loses his world at once and feels that he's losing a world filled with the joy of life, and takes upon himself death from this world. He feels as though he is committing suicide when he experiences this image. Sometimes the Sitra Achra helps him picture his state with all the dark colors. Then the body repels this prayer, and in such a state, his prayer cannot be accepted, since he himself does not want his prayer to be accepted. For this reason, there must be preparation for the prayer to accustom oneself to the prayer, as though his mouth and heart are the same. All right, there are a few nice tips here as well. A person wanting to work entirely in the form of bestowal, and that all of one's thoughts of his own pleasure will be revoked. Then when he feels what he's saying, his heart can fear that his prayer might be accepted, meaning that he will have no desire whatsoever for himself. Right? This is along the way, and you will feel this if you work well. A person who's studying the wisdom of Kabbalah consistently, at one point he's praying and he feels that he doesn't want his prayer to be accepted. Why? Because what is our prayer? Our prayer is to give everything and not to receive anything. Right? So the heart just doesn't agree. So there'll come a time when you'll be praying, however, though, inside you'll be thinking, God, I hope he doesn't accept it. Okay, so it'll be that kind of a situation. And it's felt actually quite clearly inside a person, this situation. The person is afraid that the Creator is going to accept his prayer. Why? Because bestowal for us is a scary world. Because imagine, right, what is bestowal is not receiving anything in complete giving. So it's quite scary for a person. I mean, how is it going to be that I'm not going to think about anything about myself? Okay, it's quite scary. So inside there is this discernment that although you're praying, and on the other hand, you're afraid that the Creator might accept it. All right. And concerning self-pleasure, there appears a state where it seems as though he leaves all the pleasures of this world. This is also a nice little thing here. Nice little compliment. This is another state. And concerning self-pleasure, there appears a state where it seems as though he leaves all the pleasures of this world, together with all the people, friends, his kin, all his possessions, and retires to the desert where there's nothing but wild beasts, without anyone knowing of him or of his existence. This is also something that a person kind of goes through. It's a feeling along the way. This is also very concrete. Everything here is really, really concrete sensations. Also, a lot of people feel that they're doing it when they study the wisdom of Kabbalah. What they feel is like they leave the world outside. You know, they've got family, friends, and all this kind of thing, but all of a sudden they just, feel like they're leaving everything behind. And that's also a pretty clear-cut sensation as well. It seems to him as though he loses his world at once and feels that he's losing a world filled with the joy of life, and takes upon himself death from this world. All right, so he feels that he's just like leaving every pleasure behind. His life becomes really dry. Really, really dry. And this is how it's felt. It's nice that he's explaining it so nicely. So we should also feel this as well. You don't get any pleasure from life. You don't feel like you're getting anything out of life. It's a weird feeling, but it's very concrete. Again, all of these three things are very concrete along the way. He feels as though he's committing suicide when he experiences this image. And that is also true. It's like you're completely cutting yourself from all the pleasures in the world. And sometimes the Sitra Achra, the other side, helps him picture his state with all the dark colors. Then the body repels this prayer. And in such a state, his prayer cannot be accepted, since he himself does not want his prayer to be accepted. So our desire to receive for ourselves brings about arguments. All right. And it depicts to us, well, what am I going to be left with? I mean, who's going to take care of me? Right. So that's the main kind of concern a person has. If I'm going to do everything for others, well, what about me? What's going to happen to me? So that thought, that feeling about what's going to happen to me is quite clear for a person. It's like really, you can't kind of get rid of it. It's like really stuck in there on the path. So on the one hand, you're resonating with the idea. On the other hand, there's always this thing, well, what's going to happen to me? But what am I going to do? Well, what about the stuff that I need? Right? So in such a situation, obviously, your heart and mouth are just not in agreement. And despite the fact that we're working on praying, it's just within us, it just doesn't want to be accepted. That kind of a prayer, it just doesn't want to be. We don't want that to be accepted. For this reason, there must be a preparation for the prayer. And this is the time period that we go through. In the wisdom of Kabbalah, we have a preparation period, right? Until we get into spirituality. Well, guess what? That's this period. Okay, so we have to work at it until we begin to accustom ourselves to the idea that, you know what? It doesn't matter what I get. It matters that we bestow. And to get into that kind of, perspective, I guess, it takes time. It takes time. It takes a lot of inner conflict. It takes a lot of arguments with the Creator as well. It takes a lot of complaining, all kinds of ups and downs. And a person, goes crazy, just going through all the states. And that's just how it is, though. This is how, because what does that mean to go crazy? You're actually arguing about the situation all the time, for and against, because you're in this inner conflict and you just don't know how to deal with it. So you can't reconcile, on the one hand, your desire to receive, and on the other hand, we have this dot in the heart, which is an urge to bestow. It wants to move forward. And it's like you want to go forward, and it's like you've got shackles around your neck and something's pulling you back all the time. So it's this really dilemma that we have. And, we can't reconcile it. So this is why we're going through ups and downs all the time. And this is why everybody's always arguing with the Creator, because, listen, you awakened the dot in the heart. You want us to bestow? Well, come on, either do it or don't, So we're in this little, it's like getting in the ring with the Creator. And it's like, it's just not gonna work out until we begin to, tango with Him instead of box with Him. So we have to kind of get into His rhythm. And this is how we grow up, right? This is how we understand our nature on the one hand, understand the Creator on the other hand. Then we begin to see how we can actually use our nature in order to bestow. And then things start to calm down a little bit. Okay, because until then, we're always going to have this worry for ourselves. We can't get away from it. We can't get out of it. But not being able to get out of it is a benefit for us, because this allows us to, on the one hand, clarify our egoism. On the other hand, it makes us realize we cannot do anything against it. So we have to put the Creator into action. And this is called prayer. So we have to go through these cycles many times so that we can actually feel it kind of like cooking in us. And this cooking procedure allows us to clarify, it allows us to clarify our nature. Right? So running away from it's not going to help us out. Complaining isn't going to help us out, despite the fact that we will complain. Okay, we will complain. But all of these things add up, right? All of these things add up. And that's the beauty about it. So our whole process is actually like step-by-step process. Everything we do is like putting another coin in the piggy bank. All right, just one more. And then it kind of like completes itself. It becomes a full piggy bank. And then you can cash it at the bank and then buy something. And obviously what that is buying from the Creator, the attribute of bestowal. We're actually working to get something from the Creator. And by doing this work, we're actually paying for it, right? This is why we're not going to feel shame at the end of it, because the effort that we put towards attaining spirituality is the payment that we're making. And this payment is very important because this allows us to overcome the bread of shame, right? So it's not like the Creator gave us something free. We worked for it, we attained it, we got it, and then we don't have to be ashamed of anything regarding that procedure. And that way we can feel equal to the Creator. Otherwise, we'll always feel less, and that's not what the Creator wants us to feel. All right, so all of these inner discernments that we go through, inner turmoils, right, constantly, it's like a little whirlpool in there. But that's just how it needs to be. All right. And just think about it as well. When we're going through a lot of emotions, right, a lot of ups and downs, it's through these emotions that we clarify what's going on with us, right? So imagine someone who's not going through a lot of emotions in life. It's like they're dead because you're not feeling anything, right? You're not going through these, inner discernments with anything. So if you imagine living your life without going through any emotional ups and downs. So you're not really, you're not really pulsing. Okay. So, sometimes it does, like I say, get intense, but this is how you feel that you're alive. The intensity is necessary for our development. So let's read number 20. Now then, our sages said, man's inclination overcomes him every day. Were it not for the help of the Creator, he would not overcome it. Rather, man must only commit to strengthening himself each time anew, and not retreat from this war or cause oneself despair under any circumstances. Certainly, in this war, it is impossible to evidently see who is the winner, since the war is still long. The exile is intensifying, and each one experiences what he experiences. Yet, as long as we are holding our weapons in our hands, and our main weapon is the prayer, and as long as we do not cause ourselves despair from this war and keep gripping to our weapons, we are winning for sure. Since as long as one strengthens oneself in prayer and outcry to the Creator, he is winning the war, as this is essentially the victory. Rightio. Let's read that again. Number 20, our sages said, man's inclination overcomes him every day. Right, so our desire to receive is just running the show, basically. All right, it's always going to defeat us. It's always running the show. And, this is why during the day, the amount of times we remember bestowal, the friends is very, like momentary. It's like we're thinking about the friends for a few seconds, and then immediately the desire to receive is governing us, and we're dealing with all kinds of worldly stuff all over again. So our inclination is like really has a hold on us. Were it not for the help of the Creator, he would not overcome it. So we wouldn't be able to continue spirituality at all, because it's completely against our nature if the Creator was not holding our hands. Rather, man must only commit to strengthening himself each time anew. So we have to make effort in the group every day, like start from scratch, and not retreat from this war or cause oneself despair under any circumstances. So we've got to keep fighting, basically, right? This is why Kabbalists say the best attribute a person can have if he or she is studying the wisdom of Kabbalah starts with P, patience. No, we just have to keep pounding it. All right, just keep moving forward, moving forward, moving forward. All right. And the only way to do that is to get strength from the group. So our whole process is a day-by-day process, a day-to-day process. Because if we're not doing it day-to-day, so imagine, you're not drinking water all day. So if you're not drinking water all day or having some nourishment for your body, you're going to fall weak, right? That's obvious. So same with spirituality. If I'm not feeding the soul a little bit, if I'm not giving it something to eat and drink, something to work with, then it's going to, weaken out as well. It's going to wither away. So that's why it's also important for us to make sure that we're keeping, our spiritual work lively as well. Certainly, in this war, it is impossible to evidently see who is the winner, since the war is still long, the exile is intensifying, and each one experiences what he experiences. So we're all going through a lot of stuff day by day. And like I said, like the Kabbalists are saying, it's always getting more like intense, right? It's like we're like that elastic band that's being stretched out all the time. So more and more feeling the tension between two ends. But what is he saying? As long as we're holding our weapons in our hands, and our main weapon is the prayer. So what does that mean? Well, it means that we're always keeping the Creator kind of in the loop. Prayer isn't, like what other people do on the outside. Prayer for us is an inner work all the time. So what I always want to do is make sure the Creator is in my thoughts and in kind of like he's in my life all the time, kind of like walking with him all the time, in thought and in my actions, in my intentions, especially, obviously. And as long as we do not cause ourselves despair from this war and keep gripping to our weapons, we're winning for sure. Since as long as one strengthens oneself in prayer and outcry to the Creator, he's winning the war, as this is essentially the victory. So this is how we need to kind of start the day every day. So we're starting anew every day with the prayer, and we're just taking it forward until the next day. And each day, we're renewing ourselves. And that way we're strengthening ourselves as well. So on the one hand, day by day, things are getting a little tougher with all the ups and downs. But on the other hand, we're never given something we cannot overcome. So as things get a little stressful and have that level of intensity at a pace of increase, at an increasing pace, right? What we're also doing is getting strength from the Creator along the way as well, if we keep the work consistent. All right, so many problems, the main drama with studying the wisdom of Kabbalah is if a person does not, create the right kind of framework to be consistent. Okay, and the consistency is very important in the study for us. So why? It's like taking a shower every day. So I've come to the morning lesson every day. I'm kind of like washing myself with the material, and I'm starting with a new page. And this is how it is. Okay. Rabash number 21. Okay, no questions, right? Soke is asking. Oh, there are a few questions. Okay, so why don't you guys tell me? Give me a heads up. Yannick is asking, is it recommendable to practice bestowing when doing everyday things like eating with an intention to bestow? Well, look, when you first start, this kind of stuff happens. Okay, so I think it happens to all of us, right? We want to, whenever we do something, we want to think about first, we want to bestow with this as well, we want to bestow with that as well. And it happens, I think it's a natural process. But as you study, as you go forward, as you study more and more, it starts to become, more than that. Yeah, you kind of go above that. And then instead of the corporeal things that we do in life, then this happens. Whatever you do, it doesn't matter what you do, but your thought and mind is always at why you're doing everything. So you're living your whole life in order to attain the attribute of bestowal. And in that process, you're always thinking about the friends, because through them you can bestow. So in the beginning, initially, this kind of stuff happens. It's normal and natural, I reckon. I remember myself doing it when I first came as well. But like I said, as we study more and more, it's like we grow up, and then what you do in corporeality is not really felt. You start to be above the corporeal life. You still carry on your corporeal routine, but it's like your thoughts and mind, your thoughts, your intentions are somewhat elevated, and you're thinking about something else. So your bodily stuff won't even matter, and they don't as well at the end of the day. Why? Because our body is just a corporeal, bag of protein. It doesn't really have anything to do with our soul. So initially, can happen this way, like I said, but beyond that, it needs to be, above the corporeal plane. Asli is asking, can we pray individually from the bottom of our heart, or does it have to be a group prayer? I think what happens is everybody has their own prayer because everybody's an individual, but you get to your individual prayer through the work in the group. There is no individual prayer when I'm studying alone because that's always going to be egoistic. All right, but your prayer should develop within the group because you're an individual. Everybody maintains their individuality, but because you're building your prayer from the work within the group, it becomes the tens prayer. Why? Because you built it with them. All right. Isoke is asking, do we lose the sensation of the desire to receive for the self when we attain the desire to receive in order to bestow? We won't lose that because we are a desire to receive. So we can't lose the sensation of being a desire to receive. If we lose that, then you can't measure bestowal, right? Because you need two things at the same time. So we will always feel as a desire to receive, but when we advance in spirituality, we'll add to that the intention to bestow. So we'll always be using the desire to receive, but with a different intention. Isoke is also asking, what's the best way to work with the 10 as a mechanism to accelerate this process? The best way to do it is to take part in whatever they're doing. Whatever they do, stick your head in there. And that's the best way. And there is no other way. And I'll tell you why there's no other way. Because we get influenced by the environment. So the more I'm sticking my head in there and nullifying myself, nullifying my egoism, I'm more feeding and suckling from them. And that will give you the strength. This is why day-to-day work is really important, because it's like, day-to-day nourishment. So, if I stick my head in the group more, I feed from them, I suckle from them, and I grow. It's the best way to grow. It's the easiest way to grow as well. If you stick your head in there, it's like they raised you. It's like parents raising the kids. The kids don't do much except run around. Right? They're all running around, playing around. Who's raising them? The parents. So the group becomes like this parent, right? So the Rav, the group, the friends, the study, the whole environment becomes like your mom and dad, and you're learning everything. And you're learning how to direct yourself, you're learning how to do things, and it all depends in the environment. So if you want to go fast, the best way to do it is to just stick your head into whatever they're doing and, help them out, be there, participate, and, annul your ego, do all the things that Rabash is recommending us to do in the group, and that's the best way to go. And then you'll move really fast. Really, really fast, no doubt about it. All right, so let's do another one. This is Rabash number 21. Man's sin is that he did not ask the Creator for help. Had he asked for help, he would certainly get help from the Creator. But if a person says that he asked for help and the Creator did not help him, to this comes the answer that a person should believe that the Creator hears the prayers. As it is written, for you hear the prayer of every mouth. If he truly believed, his prayer would be complete. And the Creator hears a complete prayer. When a person yearns with all his heart, that the Creator will help him. But if his prayer is not constantly on his lips, it means that he does not have the real faith that the Creator can help him, and that the Creator hears everyone who asks him, and that small and great are equal before him, meaning that he answers everyone. It follows that the prayer is incomplete. All right, so this is nice as well, because everybody always complains about this little thing as well. Everybody says, listen, we're praying every time, but the Creator doesn't reply. Okay, so that's a classic complaint of a Kabbalah student. So let's go through it again. Man's sin is that he did not ask the Creator for help. So listen, you can ask the Creator for help for anything and everything. Anything and everything. Had he asked for help, he would certainly get help from the Creator. Okay, so there must be a special way of asking to make sure I get help. But if a person said that he asked for help and the Creator did not help him, to this comes the answer that a person should believe that the Creator hears the prayer, as it is written, "For you hear the prayer of every mouth." So if he truly believed, his prayer would be complete. So that means he's not really believing it. Okay? He's not really believing that the Creator is going to answer him. Why? Because he prayed so many times before and nothing happened. Okay? So he's lacking faith. And the Creator hears a complete prayer when a person yearns with all his heart. So obviously, if you feel like you haven't gotten a reply, you have not yearned with all your heart. So it wasn't really a prayer. We have to discern what's a prayer and what we're asking for out of whinging. Okay, because sometimes we're whinging about life, complaining, and then we're asking. Okay, because we're asking from a complaint for the Creator to help. And obviously that kind of stuff is not working out, right? So what does it mean to yearn from the heart? It means I need to yearn from the heart. It means it's really clear cut what I want. That's what it means, right? So what I want from the Creator is clean, clear, crystal clear. And there's nothing else. And that's it. Because I can't come to the Creator and, ask for a bunch of stuff. Hey, give me this, give me that. It's just not serious. So a person needs to be clear about what I want, why I want it. And that's called from the heart. And then you need to kind of fix yourself to it. So, as we grow up, like I was saying a minute ago, as we're growing up, we're clarifying and focusing on what the correct thing is. But if his prayer is not constantly on his lips, so if the thing that I really want, which I've defined clearly for myself, is not constantly the same desire that I want, if I keep changing my desires, it's not going to happen. So this needs to be one desire, focused, understood, clarified for myself, and I need to constantly want that thing. It means that he does not have the real faith that the Creator can help him, and that the Creator hears everyone who asks him. Okay, so I need to want something, and I need to want that thing all the time. Not keep changing what I want. And that small and great are equal before him, meaning that he answers everyone. It follows that the prayer is incomplete. So if we're not getting an answer from the Creator, it means our prayer is not complete. Okay, and you can, I think, discern this as well, right? Just think about the stuff you're wanting from the Creator all the time. What is it that you want? And are you always wanting the same thing? And what's preparation for a prayer? Like it said in the previous article, we have to prepare ourselves for a prayer. What does that mean? It means clarifying what I really want. That's called a preparation period. So we have to go through these states where we clarify what we want, why we want it, and why this is the only thing we want. So all of these things get clarified while we're going through all these ups and downs during the work, during the years that we spend in the wisdom of Kabbalah. So on the one hand, as you can see, we're going through a lot of, a lot of things internally, obviously, but all of this allows us to clarify what we want, why we want it, and that allows us to turn to the Creator in a proper way. As we grow up in life also, we learn how to ask people for the right thing in a right way. Okay, when we're kids, we go around grabbing things from people's hands, right? We go and snatch them. As we grow up, they teach us this, and this is how you need to ask people for things. You've got to say your please and your thank you and so on. So just like in life, we grow up according to, societal norm, which is considered the right way to do things. Towards the Creator as well, we have to grow internally to ask the Creator for the right thing in the right way. It's basically the same thing for us growing up in corporeality. All right, so I hope that makes sense. And that's about it. All right, so we won't go up onto the next one, and we'll call it a night for Tuesday night. And see you guys next week. If you're around, we'll carry on. All the best, and have a good night, everyone. Bye-bye.